I'd like Dick Knopf to come up to the podium. As you may be aware, Dick has been membership director, vice president for many, many, many years, and he has decided to step down. And
I'd like to see the
the members of the board would like to bestow upon you a Yasher Koach Award for a job very well done. Well, it'll be on film. Now you can talk whatever you wanted to talk about.
11, right? Okay, I have some name tags here. Still, Mr. Levine, I'm sure you'll be happy to be doing all these assignments here. Larry Bernstein, is he here? No. Irv Fleischer, where are you, Irv? Kept asking for these name tags. And that's it for now. I think Irv Deutsch, we spelled your name wrong. We'll get you the right ones for the next meeting. The only other thing I wanted to mention, first of all, if there are... Hello. The only other thing I always like to remind members is don't forget to look out for new members. Isn't this thing working?
Yeah, you got to talk into yours. Talk into it.
How about now?
Yeah, much better.
Just don't move, right? Yeah, in the future, always remember to be looking out for new members. If you ever need applications, you can still come to me, but definitely go to our new membership chairman, Bob Levine. Is it Levine or Levine? Oh, Levine, okay. But you're in Jersey, so it's Levine here, right? Something like that. Name tags, Bob and I will get together, we'll work it all out. Now, one other thing which has nothing to do with membership, I've been going for the last few years to read to kids. I'm a bookmate, so I go to read to kids at I think it's 9th and forget what the cross street is, but it's real close to the Benjamin Franklin Bridge. And very close to that location is something called the Path Day Center. There is a homeless shelter there where occasionally David Schwartz and I have been dropping off men's clothes. But I did want to mention it. I'm sure there are other organizations do the same thing, but I like to do that. It really is an important service. They get their, they get their food there. They can have lunch there. It's for case management, all kinds of even mail service. But I think one of the most important things we can do is provide them with clothing. So if you gentlemen have some clothes you'd like to put aside and bring to a meeting, or even drop at my house, I'll be more than happy to deliver it to that center. It's run by Respond, which runs a lot of different programs in Camden and has for many, many years. And what I like about this is a direct service. You drop off the clothes, you see the guys right there, and many of them can use that kind of help. And if you need more information about that, just let me know. I'm happy to pass it on. Anyway, thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure.
Abe Furtis, where are you? Abe is going to give us a small talk about the American Treasure Museum and potential possibility for us to join in with the Couples Club of the JCC to take a trip out to this museum.
Hi guys. So the Couples Club of JCC is scheduling a trip to this museum in Oaks, Pennsylvania.
Speak in the mic.
Me too? You mean I'm making the same mistake? I'm not. So it's scheduled for September 17th. That's before the holidays, and it's in Oaks, which is about 35 miles from here. So it's it's a trip, but it's not a bad trip if you do it in the middle of the day. It's basically a museum where they basically put everything that is Americana in it, all weird stuff. And they also have a trolley that walks around. It's an old tire factory that I actually was there in the 70s. It was the old Firestone plant, and it's a huge place. I mean, it's a block, you know, hundreds of acres. So it's a lot of stuff. It's really interesting. We're doing it joined with a couples club. Steve Kravitz is here, and then Bernie Schuster is coordinating it for the couples club. So anyway, I mean, we are going to do it together. We need 50 people to get the discount, and it's going to be, you know, get there on your own and pay the discount price. So I think it's going to be a fun place to do it. Any questions?
How much?
Huh?
How much is it?
I don't know. I mean, do you know?
Depending on how many people we get.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you get 50, we will get the discount.
We get the discount. Sure. We got special guided tour. Special docent, friend, reading out literature. If you want to go, raise your hand up, read some literature. Can you send out an email?
Yeah, we have an email. Yeah, we have it. And there's a nice pamphlet that we have a copy of that. Yeah.
And we're going to try to get to the Morgantown. They have the same guy bought a shopping center there, and he has 1,000 cars on this place.
Yeah, well, Morgantown is a little longer. It's like an hour and a half trip, and it's right off the Turnpike, Pennsylvania Turnpike. But this is basically about 10 miles north of King of Prussia. If anybody is going to the Limerick outlets, you know, it's like before that. So it's nearer than there. Okay, thank you.
Particularly in Oaks, it's about 10 minutes from the King of Prussia Mall, roughly, up Route 420, and it's on the left-hand side of the road. It's fairly easy to get to. I'm sure if we get enough people, we can get carpools, you know, to go there. 422. 422. Okay. Ed, mitzvah cards?
I think most of you are aware by now we have these mitzvah cards. We have them printed specifically for us. It says you've made a donation to the men's club on them. They're blank cards that can be used for get well, congratulations, weddings, bar mitzvahs, whatever you want to use them for. Len Cohen sends them out if you call him, but it's a heck of a lot easier not to bother Len and have to remember to call him and find his phone number if you have them at home. I've had them at home for a few years, and every once in a while I'll pull one out. We're going to run a special today. We've been charging $5 for these cards. They're already, the envelopes are stamped, so you don't even have to put a stamp on them. They're 3 for $10. I've got about 6 packs here. Anybody? $10? 3 cards? They're beautiful.
No.
They're beautiful cards. Would you guys come over this way and, well, I'll walk around, no problem. All right, I'm going to start right here behind me.
Thanks, Ed. Dave Schwartz, Lionsgate.
For the last 2 years, we've hosted a breakfast at Lionsgate in the assisted living wing, and it's been very enjoyable, but the numbers have been dwindling there, so we're shifting over to the independent living wing at Lionsgate. We're going to host a luncheon. They provide the food, we provide the entertainment on July 10th. It's 10 o'clock to about 11:30. And Barry Abrams, our member, has volunteered to be the speaker. He's going to talk about general state of the union, financial wherewithal of our country, and stocks and stuff like that. So we're trying to motivate these guys. We had about 15 people 2 months ago, introductory meeting and breakfast. Forgive me, it's a luncheon at noon, the 10th of July. I believe it's a Wednesday. So I'm throwing it out to you. besides Barry, I'm taking another one or two of our members. If you have interest in going some other month, we're going to do it monthly. Please kindly let me know. Thank you.
Dave,
yes.
What entrance to the Lionsgate?
This is the main entrance off
the one facing
Haddonfield Berlin Road. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Questions?
Okay.
I'll be holding the South Jersey Men's Club flag for AL on assisted living on Thursday, the next day. So you're still covered, so take credit for that.
Thanks, John.
Okay, this is the best part of the meeting for me. For the last 2 years, I've been president of this esteemed organization. I've had a wonderful board to work with. They've made the job very, very easy. Those 2 years just flew right by. The board is comprised of people who don't think politics when it comes to getting things done, which is very, very nice. We look forward to just doing the right thing. And I'm very, very thankful that I was president. And now I'm so lucky that I'll be turning the office over to Ed Stein. So Ed, will you please come up? The first thing I do is I pass the gavel, the infamous gavel, to Ed. And second of all, because I was so happy to leave the office, I had a tag made up that says Ed Stein, President.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, you could say a few words if you wish.
I will stay up here with me if you would, please. So in return, I have for Marty a new tag that says past president. So I'll give you both of them. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm honored to be the president, and mainly because of the turnout. I'm always amazed by what the club has turned into. I was sitting next to Jerry Mitzner this morning, who was the president when I joined, and I guess it's 6, 7, 8 years ago, Jerry? I'm not sure. At least that. I mean, presidents, Marty's been president, Don Weisenstein was president, Ed Silver was president, and then I guess Jerry maybe. And you know, we used to, well, no, but I mean after I joined. So I'm always amazed because we had maybe 35 people would show up for breakfast, and then, you know, we thought we had a great crowd, and now look what we got. We're having, I think we averaged, I looked at it the other day because I'm putting a budget together for next year. I think we averaged around 57 people for breakfast. Doesn't matter whether it's the middle of the winter and guys are in Florida, or the middle of the summer when they're at the shore or on vacation. It's 55, 57, 58 people. It's just great. And we have great programs. Dave Schwartz does a fantastic job in getting speakers, and I think everybody enjoys it, other than having, you know, a great breakfast at a very, very reasonable price. And I want to quote Marty for a minute. Guys, it's not a breakfast club. It's a men's club. We need your participation. We need you here cutting vegetables, putting sukkahs up with us, working at the food bank. So when you get these emails and you're asked, you know, we're going to do something, come back and help us out. That's what we're all about. So the other thing I wanted to do this morning is I wanted to recognize all these past presidents that are here, and I have a list of them, and I want them to come up here. And I'm going back to one of our old-timers. Who's that? Me? Who's the old-timer? I think Dave wins my last one on the list. Okay. Don Weisenstein is right here. Mike Perloff. Unfortunately, I have on the list Larry Nadelson, and we all know and are with his family, and hopefully we'll be able to see you at the Minions when we're there. Jerry Mitzner. Bob Greenberg. Ed Silver. Yeah, these are not in order, by the way. Rich Moskowitz and Marty, of course. So, congratulations. Congratulations to you all, and thank you for being the president and getting us to where we are today. National has a nice pin that they have. This is from the Federation of Jewish Men's Clubs that we're a part of and that we're kind of unique with in the fact that we are the only non-synagogue Jewish men's club, independent Jewish men's club that's part of an international organization. I don't know how many clubs. Mike, do you know how many clubs? A couple hundred?
About 300.
300 clubs. So it's a nice little pin, and we're going to try to have them mounted on your name tags if we can do it, and I think we can. They're collar pins, but if we can get them mounted on your name tags, you won't have to remember to put them on your shirts every week. And it says Federation of Jewish Men's Club, past club president. So we have one of those for each of our past presidents. Marty? Thank you. David?
Thank you.
I'll just pass them down.
Oh, you want to pass them? Good.
Do you have a left-handed one?
I think that is a lefty. Okay. And I think that's it. Gentlemen, thank you again.
I'd just like to say one thing. All of us have done hard work to be your president, but Marty really puts a lot of work in. I'm very grateful for his participation. But the coffee that you enjoy every meeting and the bagels you enjoy every meeting, he doesn't say a word about it, but he does it every week, every month. So thank you, Marty.
Because I like my coffee. John Weisenstein would like to give us a little presentation on fantasy football, which, if you haven't participated, I know, about a dozen of you, I guess, have participated. It is just a heck of a lot of fun. And if you're a football fan, instead of just watching the Eagles, you'll be watching all the games on TV. Whether you want to spend your time doing that, you will be doing it if you participate in this, because it's just a heck of a lot of fun. And a bunch of us participate with our sons, grandsons. It's just a heck of a lot of fun. Don?
Thank you. Yeah, there are actually, I think we're up to 27 people involved in the league at the present time. Dave and Nelson are holding up the draft board. If you've never seen it, that's what a draft board looks like, and that's what we'll be doing on August 25th for the draft. A particular note, the second column from the left is Larry Cleaves, and that was his winning team from last year that he selected. So congratulations again to Larry. If you are at all interested, if you're not even sure if you're interested, but you think you might be, you need to let me know, really almost today. We have 12 teams. We could have up to 4 owners per team. That's 48 people. But I need to know, because if we have enough people, we might start a second league. But I can't set that up at the snap of your finger. It takes a little time and effort. So if you're at all interested, you don't need experience, you need luck. Guaranteed, the luck is far more important than your skill level. We use CBS Sportsline. They do all the calculations. All you have to do is set your lineup. All of the numbers change automatically, and we really have a great time with it. Any questions that anybody might have, or any of the owners want to make a comment? Bob?
Are they going to start a service where they're going to give us a list of the players most likely to be arrested?
I heard that list is way too long. I don't think they'll do it. Rob?
Don, how much is it?
To own a team is $125. Again, you can have multiple owners, but we pay out $5 per week per win. So if there's 12 teams, it's guaranteed. Let me do that real tough math. 6 teams are going to win each week, and they get $5 for each win. The last place club, the 12th place club last year, I believe got 40 back. That was the worst record, and that was like $40. So it's not really about the money as much about the fun and the camaraderie. Any other questions? Again, Mike?
Yeah, I'd like to say that you really don't have to know very much about it. I mean, we had, I think, Marty, I think, won the first year.
First year.
Like last the next year.
Yep.
The key is, pick a team where you're going to have to do with injuries or rest. And it really is
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And camaraderie. And I never cared about any team excepting for the Eagles and whoever's playing against Dallas. But now, I do want to check on my guys. So if you have even the slightest inkling that you want to participate, do it. You're not going to be by yourself, you'll be with some other people.
And we might be able to hook you up with an existing team. Right. So you don't, you could nurture yourself and then take a team later on.
Let me ask you a question. What happened if the owner of the team gets arrested?
If the owner of the team, well, that's another, only New England does that. Just one other comment. As a past president, with the organization, nothing happens unless somebody makes it happen. So what they were saying earlier, we need you to be involved, volunteer, do something, anything. All those little pieces add up to a big position that we could do and get involved with even more activities. So don't be shy, let us know. I keep track of who volunteers for what, and good luck to Ed and Marty again, thanks.
Thank you. Just to accentuate your knowledge for fantasy football, Larry, 2 years ago, I think he came in second from last, and then his granddaughter turned 2, and he won everything. So,
She picked a good team.
yeah, she did. And one last thing before we continue on with the program. The total membership for this organization now is sitting at 126, just to give you an idea how big we are. That we're having close to 60 people showing up to a breakfast says we're doing something right. And as we mentioned before, we need the help of everybody. Little things, just even collecting money at the table for breakfast. Something like that, as simple as that. I'm going to just slightly, before we introduce the speaker, I just want to do a very quick good and welfare so we don't lose whatever's necessary. So does anybody have good and welfare? Irv?
And you want me to talk about Natal?
Yep.
Sandy Natal is a member. He's been a member for, I guess, about 2 years. Sam and I served on the bench together in the county. Now, Sam has had some relatively severe health issues over the past year. He lost his big toe in his left foot about a year ago. He's severe diabetic. Recently lost his big toe on his right foot. He's had a bypass in his leg. He's been in and out of the hospital now for, I'd say 3 months. He hasn't been home for 3 months. He's been in pain. Presently, he's in rehabilitation at Lionsgate. He can't put any weight on his leg or his foot, so he's not really ambulatory. He doesn't have a lot of family. His kids, one's in Maryland, one's in New York, so I'm sure he'd appreciate any opportunity to have some of the members to go visit him. Again, he's at Lionsgate. He's in the rehabilitation facility, not skilled nursing. So if you enter Lionsgate, I guess it's from Laurel Oak Road. Yeah, you make a right turn. You go all the way around. He's in room 142, and I'm sure he'd appreciate people going over and seeing him. Now, hard sometimes to find it because aside from the other problems caused by the diabetes, he goes to dialysis Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 5 a.m. to about 10. So if you're going to go visit, good idea around noon on any of the days. And again, he would really appreciate to see people. I've taken him bag loads of books to keep him busy, but there's nothing better than human contact, obviously. So whatever you guys can do, I'm sure he and his family would really appreciate it. His wife's sort of sick too, so it makes life a lot more difficult. Thanks.
Thank you.
Say again? Sammy Natal. Sam Natal. Good Camden boy.
Anybody else have good welfare?
Thanks.
One thing, Barry Abrams Men's Club would like to offer its good wishes, unfortunately, for the loss of your brother. Oh, there you go, Barry. So may his memory be within you for the rest of your life and your family. One last reminder before we have our speaker come up. We have, as you have over here, books. Anybody who wants a book, feel free to take it. Whatever gets left over, I will be bringing over to Cherry Hill Library. We also have, if you had any food that you wanted to drop off here, that's where you would do it. Next time, hopefully, you'll bring some food in so we can give it to whatever's necessary. And then, of course, we have toiletries. That's, I guess, about it. So, Dave? I'm sorry, what? Scott, sorry.
I have a guest here today.
Oh.
Phil Schwartz. We wanted to check out the meetings. I said, yeah, it's great on Sunday. Let's go out and come check it out.
There he is. Stand up.
That's all right.
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
Marty.
What? Okay, well, look, we'll have a... Why don't you tell us about yourself so we can learn? Here's your...
Thank you very much, Scott. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you all for having me. Pleasure to be here. Oh, so I live in Cherry Hill. I guess that's not a surprise. I'm in a new profession. I'm a business coach. Have family in the area. I guess that's about all I have to say about myself. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, Dave Schwartz, where are you? Would you like to? Oh, Mike? Okay, Mike will introduce our speaker.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'd also remind people that we collect toiletries, and summertime is usually when a lot of people travel, and when you do, and you're in a hotel room or on a cruise, there's extra toiletries that you don't use. Well, bring them here, all right? And they get distributed to homeless shelters and other places like that. Now, if you recall some time ago when Nelson Melitz and I did a presentation about working on Army bases that Volunteers for Israel, we also had, just before it, a short presentation about the Science History Institute. It's in Philadelphia on Chestnut Street between the new Revolutionary War Museum and Independence Hall. And we had, at the time, planned on having some trips there and having, besides the trip and the tour of the museum, having a little talk about all the various programs they do. Well, we had a better idea. We're going to bring that person here who's going to tell us about the Science History Institute, an amazing place, 3 large buildings that you probably never noticed, with a fantastic museum that does dozens and dozens of programs, most of them free, every year. And I'd like to introduce the Manager of Public Programs for the Science History Institute, Alexis Pedrick. Alexis?
All right, all right, so let's see, let's make sure. Now, can you all hear me? Is this good? All right, great. So first of all, thank you so much for having me. So I am Alexis Pedrick. I'm the Manager of Public Programs at the Science History Institute. So my job is to come up with events and activities, to work with scholars to help them translate their work. But mostly I get paid to be a nerd. I get paid to get really excited about science and to find really interesting things about it, and then go make other people really excited about science and make them want to do more with it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our institution today. I am going to ask y'all to participate a little bit, but it won't be painful, I promise. And hopefully I'll get you enough information that you'll come hang out, you'll come visit us, you'll come take a tour, or come to a program. So we'll start let's see, with the basics. Who are we? So we describe ourselves as a multifaceted nonprofit, and that's just because we have a lot of different parts. And I do mean a lot. We have 4 programmatic areas. We have our collections and library, which hosts a world-renowned rare books collection. It's also once a year we do something called Archives Night. You can come. We will pull stuff out of the vault that nobody gets to see. Our librarians will let you get very close to stuff. You can't touch it, but they'll let you get very close. And you can take a look at 15th century manuscripts. You can take a look at, things that are hundreds of years old. We also have researchers that come in and use all those primary sources for history of science, for history of technology, and you actually can come in and use them. You have to make an appointment, but if you have something you're really curious about, you want to know more about, you can make an appointment, you can come into the library and see what we've got. We also have museum and outreach, so that's where I hang out. Our museum, as Mike said, is pretty great. It's huge. It has tons and tons of scientific instruments, all sorts of stuff, everything from chemistry sets that had things in it that, frankly, I'm surprised we gave children because it was dangerous and they could blow lots of things up, to modern day equipment. And so we really want to tell that story of science. Every year we have different changing exhibitions. Our ones right now is Age of Alchemy. So it's a paintings exhibition, so you can come in and check that out. And the other thing that I do when I'm not doing public programs is I co-host our podcast called Distillations. So we tell stories of science, stories from history that we think have some sort of impact on our everyday life. So that's also an outreach. We're pretty busy with that. And we do lots of different programming. And this is where I see Mike the most, right? He comes and hangs out with us. Once a month we have a Saturday speaker series. It is free. You can come in the second Saturday of every month. We have a different speaker and they talk about everything from the science of how chocolate works to one of our speakers in December is going to be talking about sleep deprivation and what it does to your brain, which, spoiler alert, it's not great. So get your rest. We also have plenty of programs that are great if you want to bring your families. Our librarians in October, we do a program called Escape the Archives. You can bring your grandkids to it. It's perfectly kid-friendly. And basically we get you in a room, we give you lots of puzzles to solve. You have a time limit and see if you can get out of the room. So it's a great fun activity. Again, it's also free. So we do a number of stuff throughout the year that you can just drop in on. And we also do a couple of paid events, a couple of big signature programs. Sometimes it's fun and silly, like we'll be talking about the science of beer, which is very important in September for Oktoberfest. And other times it's things, once a year we have what's called our Uliat Public Lecture, and we invite Nobel Prize winning laureates, scientists who are doing phenomenal work, and they come in and they give a talk, and it's really, really great. It generally sells out. The room is generally packed. We can accompany somewhere around 300. Last year that was sold out in about 2 weeks. So if you want to come, you do have to register early. We also have a fellowship program. So we host visiting scholars from around the world, and they come stay at our museum and work in our archives and our library, sometimes for 3 months, sometimes for a year. And they're working on all sorts of fantastic things. And besides just doing their research, they're also the people who come and do our outreach. They come and do our programs because it doesn't really matter that they're doing all of this stuff if they can't find a way to share it with everyone. And last but not least, we do have an Institute for Research. So our Center for Oral History collects oral histories of mostly 20th century and 21st century scientists. And our Center for Applied History is all researchers who basically their goal is to take things about the history of science, scholarly stuff, and figure out how to make it relevant to the world. And so if you come in on any given day, all of that stuff is all happening all at once, right? And last but not least, we also have a state-of-the-art conference center. So if it wasn't hectic enough with all the things the actual organization is doing, the conference center hosts hundreds of corporate meetings, sometimes weddings, sometimes academic conferences, all sorts of stuff all throughout the year. So I say that to say the building is very busy. And that's lots of moving parts, but that's not really what we do, right? What is the mission? So our mission is to preserve and celebrate our scientific and technological culture and to make it accessible for investigation and knowledge creation. And it's a lot of words, but what does that really mean, right? What do we really care about? And what that means is we think that this guy hanging out here in his alchemical laboratory in 1740, trying to figure out how the world works, is actually not so different from this guy, probably somewhere around 100 years later, 200 years later, trying to also figure out how the world works. It means that we are interested in looking at our past successes, the things that we've created that are really important for the world, right? Microscopes, right? And also some of our past failures. Yes, this is a painting called Trouble for the Alchemist. His wife is yelling at him, and someone is dumping a pot of urine on his head. So he's not having a great day. Things are going wrong. But we also think that the choices that people make, right? The things that they encounter in their life, the places that they show up, right, for the first time, really changes what happens in our world. It changes what ends up people finding are possible, right? And so for us, it's not just science. Yes, there's lots of great things about science and talk about labs, we can talk about innovations, but we believe science is done by people, and people are fallible and messy, also wonderful, but also people are influenced by culture and society and their family and their friends and, you know, what they had for breakfast. And so for us, looking at the history of science gives us a chance to think about all of those things. So when we're thinking about what science does in our lives and in our world, we have a more nuanced perspective of it, right? So that's a lot of the what, but it really doesn't tell you why. Why is really the big question. Why do we care about all this? So this is where it's going to get a little bit participatory, because I'm curious. I'm always curious when I come to programs. So why do you care about science? And as I tell my students also, the answer could be, I don't really care about science. I don't really like it. It's not that great. Not into it. It's not my favorite class. So anybody, what is interesting about science? There you go.
I'm fascinated with facts instead of feelings.
Ah, oh, I like that. You'd be very popular. Scientists would like that answer. Yeah.
Science provides the structure in which we can understand, we can build a theological and philosophical system.
Yeah.
It provides a groundwork to see how, when we look at the world, through our philosophical, theological perspectives and how that interacts with the way we see the world, is particularly fascinating to me.
Absolutely.
So as technology and science changes, our worldview changes, and that feedback system.
Do you want to come up here and give the rest of this talk? That was perfect. I didn't pay you to say that, but that's the answer that I wanted. That's fantastic. No, I mean, really, first of all, a lot of early alchemists, early natural philosophers would agree with you. That is how they saw the world. So we think about alchemy as sort of this weird time where people wanted to turn lead into gold, and, you know, they were doing all sorts of strange experiments, and they looked like wizards, and sometimes they were getting urine dumped on their head because their wife was not happy with them, right? But they were really trying to figure out how the world works, and they wanted that perspective. That was what they were hoping to do. So yeah, it's absolutely all of those sorts of things. So yes, that's the why of science, but it's also, why does history matter? Why do we care what happened to people who, you know, may or may not even be here from a long, long time ago? And I get My favorite answer to this question, we do a program for the Philadelphia Science Festival. We do, it's pretty hectic. We do a program called Science in the National Park. So we take all sorts of activities. We go to the national park across the street, and we have about 2,000 or 3,000 fourth graders who all descend upon us, and we forget what our names are and lose track of what day it is trying to answer all of their questions. But their answers to this question were really fascinating. And one of the things they said, one little girl told us, she said, well, history is all the stuff that happened before I wasn't here, but a lot of stuff happened before I wasn't here, so I need to know about it. And it was such a simple, sort of funny answer, but it makes a lot of sense. She knew, even as a fourth grader, right, that there was lots of stuff that had happened before she had a chance to get here, and it all mattered because it made the world that she lives in right now the way that it is. So for us, that is why we care really, really deeply about it. That's why we do what it is that we do. So, how can you participate? How can you get involved? So there's a few different things. You can come to a program. As we said, we have lots of stuff going on. A huge portion of it is free. Even the ticketed programs are pretty low cost. We're talking $10. I'll tell you a secret. It's $10, and if you wait long enough, it will probably go on Fun Savers, which is a website in Philadelphia, and then it will be $5. So there's that. We are in sort of our off season right now. We're getting ready to gear up for the fall when the academic year starts again. So we'll have a whole brochure. I'll make sure Mike gets that, and it'll tell you everything that's going on and who you can hear and when you can come by. You can also listen to our podcast, and you can subscribe to our magazine. So our magazine, Distillations, writes incredible stories about science. My favorite right now is about, there's one up there about hot peppers. So my husband is very into this. He really loves super hot, super spicy food. If it's a hot sauce bottle with like a skull on it that says it's dangerous, he's like, yes, I must try this. I must have it. So we have, one of our stories is about people who do that, about that fascination with sort of having your mouth lit on fire, but also what's happening inside your body, and does it actually do anything for your health, and is it actually even really a smart thing to do? I would say no, it sounds horrific, but you can read and get to the bottom of that. So you can subscribe, you can check it out, you can read it on the website, you can listen to the podcast. You can also visit the museum and take a tour. As Mike said, we do group tours, we do guided tours. Someone can come through and bring you around. They are about $2 a person, so, and for school kids in Philadelphia, they're completely free. So your $2 actually helps us be able to do free tours for all of those school groups. And yeah, you can come, you can say in advance what you're interested in knowing about, or you can just say, surprise me, tell me something really fascinating and cool that I've never heard of before, and we can do that too. And last but not least, since we are a 501c nonprofit, C3 nonprofit, you can also donate. You can come by, and like I said, if you take a tour, that is a way of donating to us, but you can also just donate if you think that this kind of work is important. So everything that you need is at sciencehistory.org. That's our website. Or also, you can just email me. I'll have business cards, and I'll see if I can direct you to what you want to find out and what you want to know. So I guess I will open it up for questions. Anything, I'll do my best to answer them. Go ahead.
It sounds silly to ask, but where are you located?
We are in Philadelphia, so we're in Old City. So we're on 3rd and Chestnut. So if you take Patco over, you'll get off at 8th Street, walk down a couple of blocks, and you'll see us. We are right between Independence Hall and the new Museum of the American Revolution. So right in that little corner. Other stuff, yeah.
I'm from Philadelphia, but I don't remember going to your Science Institute at when were you created? When did you start?
Okay. So the Science History Institute, so there's a very good reason for that. So the institution has actually been around since the 80s, but the museum is relatively young. We are a baby in museum years. That did not open until 2009. So yes, so the space where you could actually come in and see it is relatively new. And we actually used to be called the Chemical Heritage Foundation. So we also had a different name. So we've gone through a rebranding. Yeah.
Is it broken down by different disciplines like astronomy?
Yeah. Oh, he wants to know if it's broken down, what we have is broken down by different disciplines. And it is. So we have life sciences, chemistry, technology, and then from there you can get even more granular. But yes, you can come and sort of see everything. The museum itself is actually organized, it is organized by sort of the stories. It's not by timeline, it's actually by the things that belong together. So, yeah. Other questions?
Yes, my question has to do with climate change. There's been so much discussion about that. And of course, a good deal of controversy as well. Do you have a particular field or subject that's geared specifically towards climate change?
We do. We actually, for a while, had researchers that were working on collecting that data about climate change. So one of the things that we try to do through our programming is talk to people about what is happening in the world, right? To make sense of it. What is the ozone layer? What are all these words you hear that are getting tossed around, and what do they really mean? And so what we try to do is not so much be angry. There are lots of people who will yell at you and tell you what you're doing wrong and what the right answer is. But what we try to do is try to invite as many people in as possible to have that conversation. So we do a couple of programs a year. Last year we actually had a theater company that came and they had written a play about climate change, and so we used that as a way to talk about it. They did this play and we had a talk back, and it was pretty great. So.
Yes, could you tell us about that program that you're part of called Science on Tap?
Yes, thank you for asking. So you'll see I'm wearing a t-shirt called Science on Tap. Science on Tap, our slogan is basically eat, drink, science. Once a month, we meet at a bar called National Mechanics. We have a different person from a different institution come and give a talk about science. We drink a lot of beer, we eat a lot of delicious food, and we ask a lot of questions and have a lot of lively conversations. So it's great. It is free, although you do have to, buy your own beer and buy your own snacks. But it is free just to come in and hear a talk. And it's, like I said, we try to have a real variety of things. So sometimes it's something like, we had a speaker last year who gave a talk about forgeries and people who forged Ben Franklin's signature and how that all worked and how they got away with it. And other times it will literally be things about like what new cancer treatment drugs are doing, or what's happening inside your brain. We have all sorts of stuff that comes on. So it's the second Sunday or the second Monday of every month, and you can come by. And National Mechanics is also in Old City. It's right next door to the museum, so you could come to the museum for free, do a little tour, do a little walk around, go to Science on Tap, have yourself a good meal, and hear about some science.
What are the other organizations that participate?
So Science on Tap is a consortium. So it is us, it's the American Philosophical Society, the Mutter Museum, the Academy of Natural Sciences, the Penn Museum, and the Wagner Free Institute. So you get scientists, researchers, academics from all of those different institutions all across Philadelphia.
What's the Wagner Free Institute? I don't know.
The Wagner Free Institute of Science is in North Philadelphia, and it is a museum that is actually modeled after, so it was a 19th century museum, a museum that opened in the 1800s, and they have virtually kept it the same. So it's a lot of natural specimens, and you can get a sense of what it felt like to come to a science museum in the 1800s. It's a pretty cool place. We like them a lot. Thank you.
Is your background in science?
I am a historian, so my background is not in science.
Natural science.
No, exactly. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so my background is history. I have my Master of Arts in Humanities in history, religion, and philosophy. So for me, this was sort of the perfect place to fit in. It was somewhere I was not great at, I'll be honest, I was not great at chemistry, but I have learned a lot about it since then. So yeah, I mean, that's why I tell people, even if you're just a little bit interested in how the world works, like that's enough. You can come and enjoy yourself. You're not going to walk in here and have the experience of being like, oh my goodness, I failed physics. I don't want to be reminded. It is not that. It's not that at all. If you failed physics, you're welcome. Come on, join the club. Let's see.
Any other questions? Before I let you go, I'm just curious, are there any people here who'd be interested in going as a group or individually? Well, now you know
all right, welcome. Sounds great.
So we'll try to arrange some program to get over there.
Great. Yeah, you can come visit me. I love it. Thank you.
In appreciation, we like to give a certificate of appreciation.
Oh, thank you.
It was a wonderful program.
Thank you.
You have one more job to do, and that's to pick my winning ticket.
Oh, this is a lot of pressure.
Here, behind you.
Here are the winning tickets. You can pick any one of them.
Woo! Okay.
All right, here we go. All right, winning share 57.
All right, let's see.
Last three digits. You can read it.
Hey.
Last three digits.
The last three digits are 493.
Wasn't even
that's not correct.
I'm new here, so. Oh, there we go.